All right.
Wait, you gotta show yourselves first.
Yep.
Yeah.
You good?
Nope.
Sorry, 1 second. We're almost there. Almost there.
You're good.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So my name is Mike Dove. I'm one of the chief residents at University of Miami.
And I'm Brittany Mays. I'm also one of the new chief residents at the University of Miami.
So welcome to our presentation here. We're happy to come talk to you guys. Hopefully we'll give you some good information and get you a little excited about our program. All right, so our program consists of 4 main health systems and locations. Our Jackson Health System is like one of our more community hospitals, which is either the 2nd or 3rd largest hospital in the country. The types of pathology that you'll see here, you'll get basically everything. And in terms of traumas that end up coming to rehab, it's kind of insane, some of the things that you see. We also have the University of Miami U Health System, which is actually on the same campus as Jackson. So you'll get a little more of like the academic side there and some research opportunities and things like that. The Miami VA healthcare system, which is directly across the street from Jackson and U Health. So everything's pretty much in the same spot, and you can see that on our next slide. And then Mount Sinai is a private hospital, so it's kind of a little different flavor. That's the only one that actually requires a car to get to. It's on Miami Beach, so the drive is actually pretty enjoyable. Going over the causeway, it makes you really happy that you're actually in Miami. So this is just kind of a map to show you guys where things are at. So everything is pretty much like, from here to here is just 1 block. So this heart here is our Lynn Rehab Center, which is our brand new rehab building, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Directly across the street from that is the VA system. And then going across the street down here, this is the University of Miami Health System. And then the University of Miami Clinics is just across the street from that. So like everything is right here. This is just the parking garage that everyone tries to go for because it's pretty much right in the center of everything. And then one of the things that we like to do right over here, there's a little causeway, and so we have a market every week on Thursday. Obviously not during COVID time, so it's pretty sad, but it's something that we all really look forward to. You can find any type of food you could possibly imagine, like Colombian, Cuban, Korean, like pizza, barbecue, like whatever you can think of is there. So it's like a nice downtime where we can all kind of go hang out a little bit and just get outside and have some food with each other. And then this is just zoomed out a little bit more so you can kind of see the full picture. All of these things clumped together is what I just showed you. This is the main campus. Across the causeway here on Miami Beach, this is where Mount Sinai is at. And it's seriously like a beautiful facility and a beautiful drive. It's really nice to go over there, and you get a little different flavor from the private side of things. And then down here is where the Lennar Center is, which is also a brand new medical building. It's on the main campus for the undergraduate campus of the University of Miami. This is where a lot of like our sports medicine clinics are. There's some interventional pain types of procedures that are done there. And then just some general like EMG clinics that can end up being down there. So it's pretty nice. And then this is also just kind of showing kind of where residents live. So like downtown Miami, this is kind of where Brickell is at in this general region, which is probably where most of our residents live. You can just kind of hop on like the little metro rail that'll take you right into campus. You don't even need a car at all if you live here. And then Wynwood is another area where a lot of people tend to either live or visit. It's a pretty cool area. Coconut Grove is also, I mean, those are all like, 15 minutes away really. And then me and one of our other co-residents live a little further out in Doral. You get a little more bang for your buck out here. So like I have a townhome for like similar cost of what people have for like a 1-bedroom downtown. The drive from here in no traffic, it's like 20 minutes, and then I mean at its worst is like 45. That's mainly coming back at the end of the day.
All right, so here's our key leadership. We actually have a new department chair. So he's been with us a year now. One exciting thing, that's Dr. Gator. One exciting thing with him is that he is very receptive to resident feedback, and as it kind of affects the whole department as a whole. So that has been a great thing. Having him down here, he's a spinal cord injury. Yep, Penn State, someone wrote it. We took him, sorry. But he's an awesome addition. We're happy to have him here. Then our program director is Dr. Sherman. So he actually founded the program and he still is our program director. So we're going on 16 years of our program, and we have pretty consistent leadership there. And then we have 2 associate program directors. So one is Dr. Dalal. He's another spinal cord injury specialist. And then our other new associate program director, he was newly named, is Dr. Price, and he's a internal pain specialist. And then the top corner, the most important, the heartbeat of our program is our program coordinator, and that's Caritha Davis. For the rest of our presentation today, we hope that you can take away some of these things. So we'll discuss our brand new facility, because we did just open a new state-of-the-art facility. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll touch on evolving our program, new changes as far as our call schedule, didactics, program benefits, etc. And just for all of the medical students that are on tonight, if we're not able to answer some of your questions tonight, we are starting our virtual Q&As as well. So here's a flyer for that. And at the conclusion of this presentation, we'll put a link to the registration form in the chat.
So this is our brand new rehab center. We just moved in during the pandemic, which was kind of interesting. But it just recently opened in February, I believe we moved in. And it basically is completely state-of-the-art. It has like gait labs, aquatic therapies, underwater treadmills, like exoskeletons, zero gravity types of therapies for spinal cord patients. It has things like full rows of airplane seats to like train people getting in and out of those. So there's an entire car in the building. There's a basketball court out back. We're hoping to get some the Miami Heat wheels, which we'll talk about, to come out a little bit. The Miami wheelchair basketball team. So it's pretty amazing. So basically everything that we do at Jackson is in this building. This is just another picture, a real image of kind of the front side of the building. Some work is still being kind of completed. We had to move out of our prior rehab building, which is now a COVID, just to accommodate all of those patients. And it's so new that we don't really have actual of the inside, but this is pretty much what it looks like rendering wise. We're kind of in contact with some of the marketing people that'll help get us some images that we can show and they would like to portray, and then we're hoping to get like a virtual tour as well. So those are types of things that we can get more into in our sessions in the next couple of months.
All right, so for the nitty gritty, our program structure. So we get significant inpatient exposure. We're pretty much like a 50-50 program with inpatient and outpatient exposure. So we have our inpatient spinal cord injury service, TBI, comprehensive rehab. So that pretty much encompasses the orthopedic, post-op patients, the LVADs, the transplants, and then a lot of other crazy pathology that we get just because it's Miami. We have our neuro rehab service. We have a VA inpatient rotation that also is comprehensive rehab and combined with spinal cord. We have, for a different flavor, we have our Mount Sinai inpatient rotation. As Mike had said, it's a private hospital on the beach. So it's a completely different feel than being at an academic center. So it's great that we get to rotate there with one of our former residents. We have an inpatient consult service, and then we have our pediatric service, which we're growing. We're happy to have our one of our old residents who did her fellowship at Baylor. She's coming back. Sorry, Baylor. And then we also have our outpatient exposure. So for all of the inpatient rotations, we also have outpatient clinic for that as well. And then on top of that, we'll have our University of Miami-based EMG clinics. We'll have a lot of different clinics at the VA. We have a general MSK clinic, which this is pretty cool for us. We have we just started our PRP clinic like 2 years ago now. I can't believe it's been 2 years, but so we are doing a lot of great research with that, and with the veteran population, that's something that I think is quite exciting. We have our EMG clinic, P&O, and then for me, I'm going into headache, so neurotoxin clinic is quite important, so I enjoy that. And then of course you get pain, sports, backlift and pump clinic. Jocelyn will be bringing the pediatric rehab clinic, and then we also have a fellowship trained cancer rehab physiatrist on staff as well. So she's heading up some clinics there. And then a nice thing that we do have that Dr. Sherman supports is us having early elective time, especially we know with a lot of the subspecialties, the early application processes. So we get 8 weeks total of electives. It's kind of separated as elective selective. So 4 weeks are in-house, meaning that it has to be within the Jackson system, and then you get to do 4 weeks away. So of course, COVID had different ideas for this upcoming year, but for example, for me doing headache, I got to go to several different institutions. Like I was up at Spalding, I was up at Stanford, I was back home in Wisconsin. I was able to utilize that time to really cater it to what I was interested in. But you have a great variety of in-house options as well, including interventional pain, sports, neurosurgery, orthosports, radiology, and palliative, and more, like way more than that we could list.
Yeah, pretty much anything you can think of, we have in-house, which is really nice during this, where we can't really travel too much. And then the away types of, you can even do global health if you want to. We've got some people go, I think, to fall and things like that.
Right. Continuing on with our structure, so similarly to a lot of the other different programs, our PGY 2 year is inpatient heavy. So most of our rotations, the Comp 1, Comp 2, TBI, Neuro Rehab, SCI, are all inpatient rotations. So this is actually a good example of resident feedback being incorporated. So we had expressed that PGY2s need new, like earlier clinic exposure, especially if they're considering applying to an outpatient subspecialty. So Dr. Sherman was agreeable to implementing that in the new PGY2 schedule, as well as the PGY3 schedule, which is great. So then moving over to the PGY3 schedule, so that's when you get your first elective block there. You add consults, and then it's pretty much all outpatient clinics with the exception of that Mount Sinai rotation that I had mentioned. And then PGY4 is kind of a smorgasbord. They expect you to kind of act as an attending now. So that's with that JMH senior. So you oversee the PGY2 residents on the inpatient services. You still have consults both at and Jackson. You have the pediatric rotation, and then you'll have built-in night float, and then you get some more pain exposure at the VA.
And then just to touch on our call schedule a little bit, and this is another area where that kind of really shows how receptive the program is to feedback. When we were PGY2s, it was like PGY2s had 30 calls, PGY3s had 20, and then PGY4s had 10, but that included, weekends, holidays, and everything like that. It was home call, which sounds great in theory sometimes, but when you have patients that have an acuity like we have, you end up coming in a lot of times, and then you have to go work the next day, and you're tired, things like that. So we were able to propose a night float system, which our program director took on, and it's been a really great system for us so far. We just started it just this last year. And so the PGY2s, this is also a good time to point out that our class is 6 residents, but every class after us is 8. So there are 8 spots. We already brought 2 extra residents in to make 8 for the PGY3s below us. And PGY2s are 8 as well. And every class that matches in will also be 8. So the PGY2 calls, we have the PGY2s take on the weekends and the holidays. So it ends up being 18 total calls for each resident, which isn't too taxing at all. And then they don't have any responsibilities like during the week. So then PGY3s, that's when we start night float. So the PGY3s have 4 weeks of night float, which goes from Sunday night until Friday morning. So it's basically 5 nights, and then they help take 2 Fridays from the PGY2s just to kind of offload a little bit from them. And then PGY4s, we have 3 weeks of night float, and then moving forward, they'll probably end up having only 2 weeks just because the 8 residents. And it's also worth noting that the PGY2s take the weekends and holidays. So once you're done with that, you will never take a weekend or a holiday for the rest of residency, which is pretty great.
Okay. So real quick about our didactics and research. So we do have our protected time, our academic half day on Fridays. So we do have 18-month didactic schedule. So we can go more into that during our virtual Q&A, but it's separated into all of the different core blocks. And then we also have the supplemental discussions, like every other program, M&M's, Grand Rounds, Journal Club. We have a weekly Cucarillo board review that is resident-led, so you'll have gone through Cook at least 3 times before graduating. We have an SAE review series. We do have semi-annual mock oral exams, so we get good practice with those. We have different interdisciplinary conferences, and then we have a monthly ultrasound course that is led by one of our sports attendings, and then we also have a new interventional spine course that this past year was led by Dr. Price and Mike and another one of our residents. So you get exposure using the models and the interventional or in the fluoro suite. So then we do have like the standard built-in research requirements of 1 original research project and 1 QI project before you graduate. And then we've had lots of posters accepted all over the place, AAP, PM&R, ASRA, NANS, for me, the International Headache Academy, and then Florida Society is PM&R.
So then just some benefits. You can see the salaries up top for each class. And like I'm going to talk about CIR just briefly, which is, so we have a resident union, which is CIR, which is a really great thing to have. I think my paycheck has gone up like 5 different times based on what they've done. They do collective bargaining and things like that on our behalf. They're a great resource for us to have, and they also offer like $1,000 to go present at conferences and things of that nature. They increase our educational stipend, so every year you get $2,000 towards whatever you want to use it for. It comes in a lump sum stipend. The on-campus meal cards, you get $1,350 and a 25% discount. And then vacations, everyone gets 4 weeks of vacation, and then you get 1 wellness day to use as whatever you want at any point in time. And then education days to go to different conferences or whatever. You get 2 days as a 2, 3 days as a 3, and then 10 days as a 4.
All right, so we're moving quickly. I know we're kind of close on time. We do have a lot of community involvement, and I think one of the most unique parts of our program is just our familial atmosphere. So we volunteer together. There's a clinic for the underserved and underinsured called the San Juan Bosco Clinic, so we act as attendees there. We are actively involved with the University of Miami medical students as well as other rotators. We do get our sports coverage, so we're working to cover a couple of the local high school teams for football. We have the Miami Dolphins Cancer Challenge annually, which is a cycle challenge. We did the World Sailing Regatta that was held in February this year. We do the Miami Heat Wheels team, so we've been doing their practices, looking to do more involvement with that. And then we've been doing annually the Wadapalooza CrossFit Festival tournament. Okay, and we love each other, so gonna fly through this side. So you can see lots of pictures. Everybody has to do Secret Santa, of course, but so many things to do in Miami. We can talk more about this at our virtual platform, but lots of shenanigans, all of them.
Just a list of kind of where people are at. We match really well in all different fellowships, from all the inpatient traumatic brain, spinal cord, to outpatient pain, sports and spine, things like that. We also have a lot of our residents are involved in leadership in different societies with AAP, PM&R, FSPM&R, and also within the union itself. So it's a lot of leaders come out of this program.
So these are some of the frequently asked questions leading up to applications. We'll talk more about this at our virtual forum. And then we are DO friendly. We've gotten those questions really early and we don't have cutoffs. And then again, we'll discuss our interview process at a later date. And then you want to just put the link in the, yeah, so feel free to join us. Feel free to register. We'll be happy to chat with you all, and very, very proud that you guys have chosen the field of PM&R. Great field to be part of. So welcome and excited for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Again, if you have questions, we're going to move on to UT San Antonio, but if you have questions, they mentioned the virtual opportunity to kind of meet and greet and ask questions, but then we also have our Q&A forum on the PM&R Scholars website.